Jennifer Ward, the lady who was very much behind Ponsonby Park, also known as
Te Rimutahi,
Rimutahi.
the lone rimu tree.
The lone
Rimu.
And there is a rimu planted, I believe.
Indeed, if we pan around, I don't know if you're filming or not, but here is Te Rimutahi, 25 years old.
Okay.
Hoisted into place, planted there to bear the name.
Fantastic. Because some people were saying it'd be good if Jerry Hill had been acknowledged by the park.
Yes. Well, we acknowledged Jerry every step because he was one of our foundational members even before the community-led design group, back in the Western Bay's community group days. So Jerry's always been a very strong advocate. And Sally's still involved in it, and Sally attended the Dawn Karakia, which was great.
I didn't even know about it.
It was a very small list of invitations that council controlled.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas the big opening this Saturday, the 17th, is for everyone. So
This Saturday the 17th.
Saturday the
From
17th,
what time?
from 10 a.m. sharp and to about 12.
About 12 o'clock.
Yeah, so formalities early on, and then a bit of music, a few refreshments, a bit of a celebration.
Tell us, Jen, about the journey, the idea. I know it's been a long one. It's been like, how many years?
It's been 13.
13 years.
Before, that includes time before the community-led design group was put up.
Tell us about that journey.
So, I guess it really started with the Ponsonby Road Master Plan that the Rimutahi Local Board put out. I think that was about 2014. And that was for the entire length of Ponsonby Road and was a chunky body of work that they needed to do. And this site, which at that point was Liquor King, was included in that work. And it had a lot of feedback specifically on this site. So in order to progress the master plan, the board decoupled it and made it its own project so that they could get the master plan work through and then focus on this as a separate body of work. And that's when we became involved. And the original plan was to sell the back part in order to finance the front and zero it out cost-wise. But in the years since it had been purchased, which was 2006, it was purchased, but in 2000 was when the need for more open space was first identified. So within those 12 years, Ponsonby had intensified significantly, as had the city centre, and we're a spill out area for that. And so we said, well, we'll never be able to buy land in Ponsonby again, let's keep it. Let's make it a bigger space, more room for more people, more options, more activities, more diversity, more inclusivity. And so we began. And we started off getting a petition together, which got 1,200 signatures that said, keep the whole space, which we took to the board as a presentation. Then that became another submission process that went to the community far and wide and was promoted by the board. It was their submission, and that got 77% support of respondents. And then we sort of began our work because the board said, well, if the community wants this, we've got no money. So the community needs to come up with a design and an indicative budget for the site. So that's what we did. And that took us 2 years. We did a bunch of consultations where we would, first of all, we did one where we said to the community, how would you like to feel here? A lot of people told us we were nuts. What's feeling got to do with it? Should have toilets. And we said, well, maybe you feel like you should be able to go to the loo. And and then we took all that information, we refined it, and we started putting together a design brief. Then we worked with the third year students of the School of Architecture at the Auckland University, and they did projects, and we had a display of that at Boy and Bird, where they put their work up. which was sort of controversial for a lot of people because most of it had construction on it, but it was a way to get people thinking and engaging and going, well, that's nice, but that we don't want. And then we asked for responses again. That was our second consultation. And in all of our consultations, we had a box at the end that said, is there anything else you'd like to tell us? And that was the option for people who didn't want it, who could say it should be X, Y, Z. We got a few people telling us that it should stay as the booze shop, that it should be left alone, but we didn't think that was a great option, and generally it was only ever one or two people that told us that. So we reported that, but it wasn't statistically significant.
There's plenty of places to buy alcohol.
We thought so.
Ponsonby and Herne Bay and Greyland.
And also, why should council-owned civic land be used to sell cheap alcohol and have essentially what was a pretty ugly and abused car park at the rear of it with, smelly bins and a lot of the activities that people are frightened that the Rimutahi may encourage had happened in that car space for quite a while, including a young guy who lived in his van for several months.
Who lived where?
Who lived in his van, but he was fine. He was never a problem, and I guess that was his best option for housing. And that's always our response when people say, what about homeless? It's like, well, we've got to give them a better option than sleeping here, if indeed they do decide to sleep here. We need to provide a better sleeping option for them so that they're not that desperate.
Maybe hammocks.
Or maybe just a night shelter, or a place where they can be warm and dry and safe and not on the street.
It's got a good cross-section of things you can do here.
As far as the spaces?
The whole space.
Oh, yeah. And I've got so many photos of people doing so many different things. In fact, it's quite funny because when LandLab did their visuals, they put, people reading their phones or playing with their children or having a picnic or lying on the grass. And every single one of those images has come to life before us. And there's been
beautiful
kids on their scooters and people lying on the grass and lots of people having coffees and a couple of young women that regularly sit along there and just...
do yoga.
Well, we haven't had yoga yet, but I thought I could leave that one on my own for myself. But we've got, people reading and just taking a moment. Lots of kids.
Meditation.
I guess some people are meditating. But even now, here with us, it's lovely and calm.
It's quiet.
And yet the bustle up there is still happening. And that's the energy. And then this is the calm, the rest. Have your lunch, have a break. Just pull your thoughts together before the big meeting you're having in Dizengoff or whatever. Yeah, it's one of those.
I like the fact your graphic people always included Dizengoff.
Yeah.
As the neighbour.
Well,
much loved
they're
neighbour.
on our boundary. Yeah, yeah. And as far as I know, according to Phil and Troy, they're delighted. It's been a bit of a baptism of fire. They've had a lot of noise and they've been the most impacted, of course. But then they're pretty busy. And on the sunny days, people just spill out here and they wander around because it's got a natural flow, which is all accessible with our mobility ramp and another mobility ramp up onto the covered area.
Good on you for including that.
That's not us, that's the designers, and that's also council policy. And the parks people that oversaw it were emphatic about that it was for everybody. And when we have our information board, it's going to have QR codes so that they will be sight and hearing enabled as well. So hopefully everybody will be able to access all the information that will be contained in there.
Fantastic. Shall we talk about the name and how the name came about?
Te Rimutahi is the name of the Ponsonby Ridgeline that runs all the way from Mangawhau to the old fishing area that was, I can't remember the name correctly, but where Point Erin is. And so that was the name for the Ponsonby ridgeline. And the one lone Rimu originally stood somewhere near the intersection of K Road and Ponsonby Road. And because that's the name of the ridgeline, and because we're in the heart of Ponsonby, Ngāti Whātua gifted us the name. And if you look closely on the upstand font, which you can't see from here, but you see from the Ponsonby Road end on the top of the canopy, that is the Ngāti Whātua Ōrākai font, which they've designed, which is magnificent because it looks carved. It's so clever. And that also bears the name Te Rimutahi, which we are delighted to have because it's an easy name to say. It references the pre-European history, and it's also the Rimu.
And that'll grow quite big, won't it?
Eventually, but it will grow slowly, but it will grow to be a magnificent specimen.
What sort of height do these things grow, do we know?
I don't know offhand, but quite tall. But they are quite compact. They're not a huge, big, wide spreading tree. And they're very elegant the way that they droop. And this motif has been used throughout the designs,
Okay.
Including on the Po.
Fantastic. So just a last kind of thing about the park, what you think about what have you enjoyed doing in this process? What's given you the most pleasure? Getting it finished?
That's been a big one. Achieving. The main thing I've learned is all about urbanism and cities and intensification and spatial planning, all of that whole realm, which I really knew nothing about, because you've got to engage with people, people that are pro and anti your vision, in that area, because that's sort of what it's all about. And that's been really, really interesting, and I've loved it, and I've met so many brilliant people. But then the whole process has been about people, because it always is at the end of the day. I've learned a lot about local body politics. I've learned a lot about the council, and to all politicians and all council workers of all stripes and all persuasions, helpful, unhelpful, and everything in between, I take my hat off to them, because it's a really thankless job, and I'm just so grateful that somebody wants to do it.
And look at the results.
Yeah.
Just look at the results.
You've got to push.
Maybe that will be edited out.